Welcome to my space. Let's take 3 deep breaths together, gathering your energy back on the in-breath, spiraling down into a slower, safer space inside your body, maybe in the womb center, the low belly, or the root. Here we go, gathering your energy, deep breath in. On the exhale, wiggle, sigh, hum all the way down into that deeper, slower space. Deep breath in. Mm. Deep breath in. I am here. Welcome. I recently listened to a teaching by one of my teachers, Sarah Bertrand, around fairy tales and the importance of them in our development and carrying on truths within them. And she really encouraged us to map our own unique fairy tale that's happening inside of your story, inside of your life, inside of your here-ness, your beingness on the planet. What is your unique fairy tale? If you haven't done much reading around fairy tales or myth, Clarissa Pinkola Estes does a really beautiful job in her book, Women Who Run with the Wolves. So I highly recommend that. It gives tons of maps for you as you're discovering who are you, where are you on your journey. The other thing that I really encourage my clients or my women's circle to do is really start seeing life as the spiral rather than the straight line. And, that's a simple thing to say, I'm on a spiral instead of a straight line, but to actually, it takes years to reprogram body and mind to see yourself on a spiral instead of on a linear path because our culture is very linear oriented. And the benefit of that I've found in my life as I have done the work of putting myself on a spiral is that when I hit issues again and again and again, it doesn't throw me off anymore in terms of feeling like I failed or I haven't accomplished anything in this issue or I must not be manifesting correctly because here I am with this issue again. Instead, I meet it on the spiral, and this time when I meet it, I'm like, okay, here I am again. I didn't want to be here. But what do I know differently being on this part of the spiral than I did back here a couple spirals before? One of those stories for me is always around money. And I recently have been mapping a 19-year cycle. I love astrology, so I follow different cycles in astrology that speak to me. There's a million cycles in astrology, but there are a few that really I can feel that I'm tracking with in my soulful evolution. And one of those is a 19-year cycle that closed last year and kicked me into a new space this year. And part of that is around finances for me. 8 years ago, 9 years ago, when I was getting divorced, I left really quickly because I needed out. And instead of fighting for any kind of alimony or child support, I signed away everything and was handed debt instead. So no financial support. Ended up getting debt that I said yes to because I just wanted out. I wanted it to be done. And many women actually end up doing that when they feel like they're at the end and they just need to be out and they don't know how to fight for themselves, or there's not the support or the financial support. So I know I'm not alone in that story. But as I was 4 kids, doing it by myself on welfare, figuring things out, knew that I didn't want to work for another person for pennies. I knew that I wanted to start my own business. I knew that I had the skill set to do it. I made some commitments to myself in that period of time. And I said, I will never be back in this space again, which I had been back in a very similar financial panic in 2005. So 2005, I hit this huge financial panic and I was married then and I had my third baby right at that period of time and a huge financial crisis hit us. Self-induced financial crisis, I might add. And then here's another self-induced financial crisis for my soul's evolution in 2016 when I got divorced. And so here I am at 2025. Well, yeah, 24 it started. And I find myself back in another financial crisis. But in 2016, when I was getting divorced, I told myself, I will never experience this again. I'm going to do whatever it takes to never meet this kind of fear and panic and lack again because I was recalling it back from 2005. Here I am in 2016. Find myself last year at 2024. I was at the best place I'd ever been financially in January. And by December, I was in the worst place that I've been since 2016. And in the past, this would have kicked me into really severe depression. Granted, you've heard some of my stories if you've been following me. The winter was rough for me emotionally, but I was also holding it within this spiral wisdom. And I was knowing that I was alchemizing a whole bunch of old stories and old fear so that I could be rebirthed into a new pattern forward. So, all of that to say, I met this financial breaking point again with the wisdom of the spiral. And this time around, I was like, okay, here I am again. I didn't fail. I'm here to meet this. I'm here to alchemize a different layer on this. What is it that I'm taking forward into my future that I couldn't take forward in 2016? And the message for me on it was, I am going to build wealth from this point, first for myself and then to have the generosity for others. And that might not be significant to very many people, but for me in 2016, when I was trying to get on the path of building wealth for myself or creating wealth, I mean, I didn't even have anything. I was at the bottom. So as I was creating a pathway, the vision for me was primarily for my kids and for others. And then whatever was left over was going to be for me. And this time, as I'm moving into this season of the spiral, I can feel the wisdom of this time period saying, okay, I'm not where I was in 2016. I'm in a new space. And the template that I'm moving forward with is, as a woman in the world who is in service to others constantly, how can I take care of me first? And that makes me shake a little bit in my boots. On the heels of that, the other day, I had my 17-year-old in here, my last kiddo. I was working on them. And before we started the session, they said to me, how weird is it, Mom, that your whole life is wrapped around taking care of other people? And I just laughed and I said, well, part of it's my gifting. I really actually love it. And then I also said, I'm actually not very good at receiving. That's the work that I'm in the middle of, is learning how to receive care for myself. And I don't even know if I could receive help from another human. And then Ella said, well, I think that you need to get really good at taking care of yourself. Now, I have not talked about this spiral much with them at home, a little bit, but not much. And they didn't know that I'm right in the middle of my fairy tale, working out this pattern, honoring it, realizing, okay, it's time for me to really learn how to take care of me first so that I will be around to take care of others in the way that I love doing in the future, whether that's emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, however that plays out. So it was a really beautiful affirmation that, yes, this is my time to learn how to take care of myself financially in ways that I had not had the ability to do in 2005 to the 2016. And now here I am in 2025 starting into this new pattern. So other people might teach around that as manifestation. I have a lot of thoughts on that. I don't think it's necessarily wrong to teach into or lean into manifesting your best life. But in my experience of hitting this spiral over and over, it's not that I didn't manifest a better life for myself in 2016. I actually fucking did. It's just that now here I am again to say, okay, what else in that old template needs to let go so that I can receive even more, so that I can expand my nervous system in abundance, so I can expand my fairy tale into abundance. And it just is a process, and it's not a one and done thing. For any of you who are working in your manifestation world, so much grace and gentleness to all of us on our spiraling lives. So, may you be encouraged today to honor your fairy tale, to honor the spiral that you're on. The heroine always has to go through lots of dark, scary forests and trials and tribulations before she finds her queendom. So be encouraged. Find your fairy tale, map your fairy tale. I love getting my spiral out and just mapping. If I'm working through a specific issue again, I map it. Where did I feel this before and before and before? And how much growth have I gained in each of those situations? Or how much more freedom do I have? Or how much more power am I standing in than I was in 2016 or 2005? So much. I am a different human than I was in 2016. I am a very different human than I was in 2005. So be encouraged, find your map, map your life, find your fairy tale, tell your fairy tale to people who want to hear it. It's encouraging and inspiring. And may you be encouraged to bring your fullness out, no matter what part of the spiral you find yourself on in your personal journey. Let's take a breath together, close this little story, and stay connected in root and heart if you would like to. Deep breath in. On the exhale, fall all the way down into the roots and feel the root system. We are connected, we are held, we are loved by earth, by breath, by sunlight, by water, moved by the cosmos. Thanks for being here. I'll return. I hope you will too.